Okay, well, Ty, we're going to do a little bit of a chazara before we continue into the new topics. So we're in the middle of the Hilchot Matzeveh Chiyum b'Shabbat. So emergency situations on Shabbat. So we saw last week, and we're going to do a slight chazara, really going through the sources, but a little bit on the faster side than we did last week. We're on page 65 in the Tzurba volume 22. The Lax Family Edition, the Dr. Harold and Magda Katz volume. So we're on page 65, and we started our topic really about fires. Okay, so we saw a Mishnah in the Gemara, Masechet Shabbat, Kuf Yud Zayin, Amud Bet. The Mishnah there said that if Chas Shalom, someone had a fire, okay, he had a fire, and we talked about this fire. This fire happens to be a fire that is not a sakana nefashot type of fire. It's not going to kill somebody. We know that this fire is not going to kill somebody. That's the fire that we're talking about in the Mishnah. That's the fire that we're talking about in the Gemara mostly. Is about a fire that's not a sakanat nefashot. It's not a koach nefesh. It's not a fire that's going to ruin property. It's going to ruin mammon. Okay, so a guy has this fire, and the Mishnah said he could be matzilin mazon shelosh seudot. Okay, if it happened in the night, Belel Shabbat, he could take out of his house 3 seudot. If it happened in the morning, he already had his night seudah, he only could take out 2 seudot worth. If it happened after Shachrit, and all he has left is seudah shalishi, he can only take out 1 seudah worth. All right? The Gemara's question was, hold on a second. He's doing this beheter. Food is not muktzah, and all he's doing is moving food outside, and you're letting him do it. So let him take out more. Why not letting him take out more? And the Gemara's answer was, because since a person is so worried about his money, if you're going to let him to take out more, what's he going to do? He's going to come to extinguish the fire. And extinguishing the fire, that is not allowed on Shabbat. So therefore, we allow him to take out, but he has to take out minimum. So you're reminded that it's still Shabbat. All right. Then we saw on page 66, we saw a Mishnah. The Mishnah here, what we're trying to get out of this point is the clothing. So the guy has clothing. All right. Clothing is also not muktzah, right? And now he wants to take it outside. Again, where is he taking this all to? We're going to see in a moment. He's taken to a place where it's mutar to take it to. I mean, there's an eruv there. There is allowed to take it out. You're not allowed to take it out to a place where there's no eruv. It has to be that it's mutar to go there. Okay, he's allowed to take out clothes. And the Gemara Mishnah said that he's allowed to take out as much as he can wear. Takes it out, goes out, he takes it off, he goes back in, he wears more, he takes it out more. All right, that's what the Gemara said. He can keep wearing and taking out, wearing and taking out. We saw the reason for that is, we're going to see in the Shema and the Orchot Shabbat in a moment. The reason for that is because if he's taking it out with his hands, then we're going to tell him on Shabbat, only take what you need. But since he's wearing it, and it's not the usual way to carry things, is we're wearing it. Since he's wearing it, and all he's doing is wearing it, and he knows he's wearing it because he's not allowed to carry it, that itself serves as a reminder at Shabbat, and he won't come to extinguish the fire. Therefore, if he's wearing it out, he can wear as much as he can. But if he's carrying it out, then he can only carry the amount that he needs for Shabbat. Okay. Then we saw another Mishnah in source 3. That Mishnah said that Kol Kitvei HaKodesh Matzilin Otam Mipnei Hadleka. If you have any Kitvei Kodesh, which we define to be even a person's own Hidushei Torah, person wrote down notes of Torah, person wrote down Hidushim of Torah, his own handwritten one or printed one, those are considered Kitvei Kodesh as well. Obviously, Sefer Torah, Humashim, Mishnayot, Gemarot are all considered Kitvei HaKodesh, and he's allowed to take them out. He's allowed to even take them out, we're going to see, to a place that doesn't necessarily have an Eruv. It's not a Deoraita Reshut HaRabim, but it's a place of the Rabbanan that you need to make an Eruv or something else. But there he's still allowed to take it out because it's Kitvei HaKodesh. Okay, and you're allowed to even tell a guy to take it out to Reshut HaRabim, and you're allowed to even tell a guy to take out the fire for Kitvei HaKodesh. That is a leniency that the Chachamim gave when it came to Kitvei HaKodesh. So very nicely, in the Orchot Shabbat, he goes through all the 4 different levels over here. Food and drink, you can only take out as much as you need for Shabbat, and it has to be in a place of an Eruv. All right? Clothing, if you're taking it in your hand, you can only take out as much as you need and to a place of an eruv. If you're wearing it,
okay.
you can take out as much as you need if you are using if you're wearing the clothing out. Okay. All right, fine. When it comes to other kelim, if you need to take out forks, spoons, pots, whatever other kelim you need, also you can take out to a place of an eruv, only what you need for Shabbat. When it comes to Sifrei Kodesh, then you can take out as much everything, even your own handwritten Sifarim. You're allowed to take it to a place that doesn't even have an eruv, and you're allowed to tell a guy to extinguish the fire or to take out the stuff to Rashut Rabim because it's Kitvei Kodesh. So we are going to allow that as well. Okay, so that is in order to save stuff in a non-lethal fire. All right, a non-sekanat nefashot fire. Now, what about extinguishing the fire? Can I extinguish the fire? Perhaps not directly. That we know we can't do. But what about gerama? I'm doing it indirectly. I'm causing it to happen. So on page 68, we had Rabbi Shimon ben Anas, and he said as follows, and this is going to be the shita of the Chachamim. He said, if you have a box on fire, you can take a moist cloth or a moist skin of an animal, and you can put it on the other side of the box. So not directly on the fire, but on the other side of the box that's on fire. And this way, as the fire moves to the other side, the wet, moist, anti-fire cloth, or whatever is on there, is going to stop the fire. And he allows you to do that. He even says you're allowed to put kelim, even new earthenware kelim that you know is going to bust. When the fire comes there, you're allowed to fill them up with water. You're allowed to put them around where the fire is going to eventually go. And this way, when the fire goes there, it'll break the vessel, and it will cause the water to come out, and it will extinguish the fire. And that is what the Chachamim allow one to do on Shabbat. Okay? To take out a non-lethal, a non-sekanat nefashot fire, you can indirectly take it out, whether putting a cloth, a wet something there to stop it, or to put something that water will come out from when it reaches there. That would also be allowed. And take a look at source 7 on page 69, and that is the Shulchan Aruch. And Shulchan Aruch says, when you have a teva that is now on fire, you can put over it the leather or the skin, shalgedi, from the other tzad, shalot tisaref, that it should not burn. Okay, and we saw in the Alkut Yosef, you don't necessarily have to put on the cloth. You can actually pour it and soak it with water, the other side of the box. You don't have to put something on it. You can soak that other side with the water. So when the fire comes there, the water will take it out. Okay, and you also mechitza, the kol hakelim, lafsik v'netleka. So this way you can stop the fire. Even klicheres chadashim, fill them with water. You can put them there. The Alkut Yosef gives an example. Nowadays, you're not going to put earthenware kelis. You can take shopping bags, fill them with water. Okay, and you put them in the path of the fire, and the fire is going to reach the plastic bag. The minute it reaches the plastic bag, the water is going to come rushing out, and it'll take the fire. And that would be mutad. The Ramah adds, you only can do this b'makom seidah, where it's going to be some sort of loss. Obviously, if something's on fire, most times something is going to be on fire. But if it's going to burn a tissue, right, you're not going to use the tissue, and we know it's not going to go anywhere else, anything like that, right? So then maybe then you can't do that. That's the Ramah. You have to have some sort of loss. Now, we did see in the Alkut Yosef something else to keep in mind when you're doing this wet thing. The example was when you have the tablecloth. Yeah.
Why are you allowed to do it? Let's say this is going on fire, right?
Yeah.
You gotta put a bag, you said.
Yeah. I'm not extinguishing it.
Oh.
It's a gamma. Yeah. The gamma, right? So it's a gamma, so you allow it to do it. Now. Same case. Not sekanat nefashot. Right.
King's Point, there's a house every 15 minutes walk.
Yeah, it's in the end of the day, no lives are at stake. No lives are at stake.
Not here.
So we're not up to nowadays. You're right. Let me say last week. Nowadays is very different. Nowadays, very different. Today, we're scared about everything. Everything is a kind of nefashot. Everything's Pekuach Nefesh. What? No, the Gemara says no. We're going to see the Ramah. The Ramah says that was back then. Even in times in Europe already, the Ramah says it was a different story. Right now, we're looking in Talmudical time. This is the way they understood fires. Far apart, with so many people, far apart, everything. There was space in between. There was also no combustible gases around you. They're going to blow up. There was no electric that's going to blow up the whole other house and the whole neighborhood. Nothing was on a grid, right? No one was connected. It was like everything was separate and everything was in a silo. So it's very different, very different.
The smoke alone.
They didn't feel that to be you're right, smoke inhalation and stuff like that. That was already, they lived with very different circumstances. Okay, now the Yalkut Yosef says you have to pay attention. Let's say the tablecloth went on fire. The tablecloth went on fire. So I want to pour water on the tablecloth, on the other side of the tablecloth. So the fire stops. Yalkut Yosef says you have to be very careful. Why? Because we said that when you wet a garment on Shabbat, that is laundry. So you can't wet a tablecloth if it's a little bit dirty. If it's a pristine, clean tablecloth, then we have the Tosafot that said what? That what? You cannot clean something that's already clean. So putting water on a pristine, clean tablecloth, not going to be a problem. But if it's a dirty-ish, a little bit dirty, now you put clean water, it's going to be doing laundry. And you're doing laundry, you take out the fire, but you can't do that, right? So says the Yalkut Yosef, what are you supposed to do? That's when you pour your orange juice and your grape juice and your wine and your other drink, because you don't do laundry with those other liquids. So you can pour that on the tablecloth. So now you're going to have a half burnt tablecloth with the other half stained in orange juice. Okay, and this way you can save it. But that's an important idea to remember. Even though I'm trying to save the tablecloth and I'm putting the water on the other end, to be careful that I'm not also doing laundry at the time I'm putting that water on it. So if you're not having a clean tablecloth, remember to put a different type of liquid. All right.
So shouldn't be any clear liquids like seltzer or vodka or something.
Yeah. We mentioned last week. Someone mentioned about seltzer. Right, seltzer would be the same idea. Seltzer is a water for all ideas, so it could be used to clean. So you can't. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to spill the seltzer. It would have to be a non-clear liquid. Yeah, that probably better way of phrasing it. Yes. Okay. The next thing we talked about was an interesting Mishnah. The Mishnah tells us on page 69, source 8, the Mishnah said that if a guy shows up and he's about to extinguish the fire, you cannot tell him, take out the fire. You also don't have to tell him, don't take out the fire. Okay? If a child shows up and he wants to take out the fire, you're not supposed to let him, a Jewish child, right? And you tell him not to do it, and you have to stop him because we're responsible for his Shabbat. So you have to not let the child. Doesn't make a difference. He has. Yeah, that's what the Gemara says. His Shabbat alehen is on you to make him rest, right? So therefore, you're not allowed to tell. You have to stop the Jewish child. But if a guy comes, you don't have to stop him. You let him do it. But you're not allowed to tell him to do it. The Gemara then said, interestingly enough, you can say even more. You can say anybody who does it, right? The guy's there, Johnny's there, right? Tony's there, and you say anyone who takes out this fire is not going to lose. And that is mutar to say. Because again, I'm not saying it directly, take out the fire. I'm saying it indirectly. I'm saying anyone who takes it out is not going to lose, even though I'm trying to imply, and we're going to see the halacha is, I'm even allowed to wake him up and say, hey, there's a fire over there, and anyone who takes it out is not going to lose. That's okay, because I never actually told him to take it out. I'm just hinting to him stuff. That would be okay. Now, there's a Gemara, Masechet Ketubot, on top of page 70, source number 9. The Gemara there says, Bidleka. They said this Gemara about taking out the fire by telling the guy, they said it by a fire. Why by a fire? What does it come to exclude? It comes to exclude other Isurim of Shabbat. So other Isurim of Shabbat, you cannot tell a guy. Perhaps that's what the Gemara means. So we'll have to go through this really. Take a look in source number. Okay, first of all, there's number 11. Number 11, Ravaya. He asks a very important question. He says, 1 second. What's the problem if I tell the guy directly? Take out the fire. It's in a case of fire. Tell the guy directly. Why? Oh, anyone who does it is not going to lose out. Why say it indirectly? It's a case of hefsid, right? A lot of times you allow things for it's going to be a loss of big money and stuff like that. Tell the guy directly. So Rabbi Yasser says a very interesting chidush. He says, remember, the whole time when it comes to fire, we have to be a little careful. Why? Because if we allow certain things, if you allow you to take out too much food, you're going to come to extinguish the fire. If I allow you to take out a lot of clothing, you're going to come to extinguish the fire. If I allow you to tell the guy directly, says the Ramaya, then you're going to come to extinguish the fire yourself. You have to say it in an indirect way to remind yourself not to come to extinguish the fire. That's why it has to be indirectly. You cannot tell the guy directly. So it is in a way to keep the person back from doing a bigger isur of extinguishing the fire. His chidush is as follows. His chidush is, if I allow you to do too much, you're going to come to take out the fire yourself. Therefore, I don't allow you to say to the guy, to directly take out the fire. I can tell him in a roundabout way. It reminds me that I can't take out the fire. You can say, yeah. You can say there's a fire. Yeah, you can say even more than there's a fire. You can say there's a fire, and anyone who takes it out is not going to lose. What? They chap. When it comes to money, they chap. Yes, that's why. Why can't you say it directly? You can't say it directly because you don't want you to take out the fire. Yeah, but still, you cannot do that. Still, you cannot do that. They don't want you to do that. Okay, but they still, Chachamim still want you to do that.
Because it's not, you're not making it. The right is to make it.
You want it to shut off.
But
You want it to shut off.
I know, but what to do, right? You put out a fire.
Because you need the black.
To make gechalim, right?
Because you need the black.
Right.
So over here, I need the thing to be off because I still want my Shabbat.
Once gechalim, I just want to. I know that I wanted to go out so I can preserve my stuff. I don't want gechalim.
Why is it the Rabbanan?
He doesn't care for the tissue box. He cares for the fire being out. He doesn't care.
I don't want
He could care less
I don't want
about the charcoal. He could care about anything. He just doesn't want the damage of the fire. So the fire won't out. I don't care for anything else.
Repeat again? You want the fire out?
Fire
Right?
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the
That's
fire,
right.
but that's not the right.
Why is it not the one?
Because
You just said you want-
is the end use. What is the end use of my thought? Is to make gechalim. That is the right. What is my end use? To do something productive? That is the right. But over here, there's no the right because at the end of the day, I'm just turning it off. That's not the right. That's not a. I didn't create anything.
This is the case.
I'm with you that it's also. I understood it to be the Rabbanan, and Chaim don't want you to be doing this the Rabbanan because it's money, and a person should allow his money to go rather than to be over even the Rabbanan. Exactly, because you might come to do it. Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's the Gezerah. That's what they said.
We're not afraid that we're too machmir here and that the result will be. By certain situations, we realize that it's going to be the teva of a person prefer a certain avera. For example, war and finds a beautiful woman, so okay, yes, the Torah is going to find a permissible way to marry her.
That's why you can take the food, you can take the clothing, you can take whatever you.
But you can't take the house.
You can't take it.
You can't say that.
I know it's very difficult to say. You put so much effort into
Right,
it.
For anyone.
I learned that during the Yom
Food
Tov,
is
Yeah.
$2,
when we cook the food, let's say, or
Right, right.
we're not allowed to put the fire down.
In your case.
Unless it's going to ruin
We
the
have to
food.
leave the
Yeah.
fire on. Why we have to put the fire down?
Why can't we extinguish the fire? No.
Okay.
It's not okay. The Rabbanan doesn't make it okay.
No, why we cautious not to put the fire
You're
down?
not allowed to say, "Ooh, there's a fire in this person's house."
Even if it's not
Say fire. If you do, you're not gonna lose out.
burn the food,
Okay, so great. So
We don't-
you can't do it.
we don't shut it down.
Go help. Go do.
Go turn off the fire.
Okay. So with that Tarichin and those questions, we get to Bezat Hashem. Let's continue where we're up to. We're on page 71. The Beit Yosef has a question. The fact that we're allowed to tell a guy about a fire, if you take out the fire, you're not going to lose. Bet Yosef wants to know, does that apply dafka in fire, as the way the Gemara in Ketuvot seems to say, or does it also apply in other cases as well? For example, a person's boat, that's the example to get. A person's boat has merchandise and it's about to sink. Can I tell a guy, something happened and the barrel of wine cracked? Can I tell a guy, anyone who fixes it is not going to lose out? It's indirectly telling the guy. And the Beit Yosef brings from the Baal Yedalot, and I believe the Rosh as well, that says that you could. This is all in the same category. Something that happened, pitom, all of a sudden, that something broke, and it's a derabanan, right? You can say anyone who fixes this, anyone who stops it from breaking, whatever, is going to not lose out. That would be okay. Take a look at Shulchan Aruch in source 13. Yochalam b'fnei ein Yehudi. Kol mechaber eino mafsid. Af meino mezuman kan. Yochal l'koto sheyavo. Even if he's not there, you can bring him there. You can call him there. Aval shavadai yichaber kesheyavo. Even though he's going to take it out when he comes. Chen kol kayotze b'zeh. Anything that comes all of a sudden, you can tell them. So if he has a crack in his barrel of wine, even though he's going to come, he's going to fix it when he comes. So the Beit Yosef allows it even in other situations that come up all of a sudden. You're allowed to tell a guy to he won't lose out if he fixes it. Right? One who fixes it won't lose out indirectly. All right, now comes everyone's favorite part. What about fire that endangers human life? So the fires of pikuach nefesh, it can really, perhaps cause real damage. All right, it doesn't have to be a vadai, as long as it's safek. We already saw that safek. Once it's a doubt, pikuach nefesh, safek nefashot, possible someone's going to get killed, something bad is going to happen like that. Already at that time, you could already call the fire department, take out the fire, whatever needs to be. Take a look at Shulchan Aruch. Call pikuach nefesh, Tzarich Shabbos. Someone sees a fire in another field, and he's scared. It's going to come to this field or this property. And it's going to come to sakana. He can take out the fire. So it shouldn't come over. So once I have a safek, it's going to come over and cause real problems. I can take out the fire. I can be mechalel Shabbat. And then Ramah. This is the key Ramah, Rabotai. Source 15. B'chol hadinim anischarim b'dinei hadleka hayne b'mile b'yimehem. That is in their times, the times of the Talmud. Of a bazman hazeh sha'anu shroim ben avdei kachavim, when we're sitting amongst avdei kachavim, v'hi chashash sekanat nefashot. Now it's considered a sekanat nefashot. That's what the Ramah says. Today, because we're amongst goyim, a fire is considered sekanat nefashot. Says the Mishnah Berurah, why? What is it? Fire amongst goyim make you sakanat nefashot? That a fire not amongst goyim is not. What's the difference? So says the Mishnah Berurah that what? You see, the goyim a lot of times are very opportunist. They're very opportunist. They take the opportunity. They're opportunists. What they happen? As soon as something goes on, they make a riot. Something's going out of the ordinary. They make chaos. Right? The COVID, they open. They go looting and they breaking all the stores because nobody's there right now. So if you have a fire, they're going to feel now it's a time to come in and loot and take everything out. And what's going to happen, says Mishnah Berurah, the Jew's not going to want his property to get taken. He's going to try to stop them. And what's going to happen if you try to stop them? They're going to come to kill him. Right? Don't stop us. We're looting. You got to let us riot. You got to let us loot. You can't stop us. So says the Ramah, therefore it's considered pikuach nefesh now that we live amongst goyim, and a person can take out the fire. And therefore, you take out the fire. Now, says the Ramah also, you have to look at it really. You have to look at it really. What's the actual situation? If it really poses a chance of pikuach nefesh, yes, take out the fire. Call the fire department. If it really poses no pikuach nefesh, no second nefashot, then you cannot take out the fire. You have to look at the inyan. But you should know that when you're amongst goyim, a fire could be considered pikuach nefesh. The Mishnah Berurah says, nowadays, since it is considered pikuach nefesh, mitzvah lehodia zot berabim dumutar lechabot. You have to tell people that it's mutar to take out a fire, said the Mishnah Berurah. Today, you have to let people know. There's a fire, take it out. Call the fire department. Get rid of the fire. It's a danger. We live amongst goyim. You have to take it out. The Pinine Halacha, he says, what happens? You're in a large building. There's a fire. And the fire department came. Okay, let's say it's an Eretz Yisrael. So it makes situations, the firemen are all Jewish. Everything is Jewish there, okay? So here you have an Eretz Yisrael, they have a lot of buildings. Okay? A lot of people, you have buildings. The building's on fire. The fire department came in, they evacuated the building to the best they could. Can they now take out the fire? So says Rabbi Melamed, he says they can. He says, I'll tell you why. Even though the fire department thinks they evacuated the building, did they really get to everybody? You don't know. Sometimes there's an older person there. Sometimes there's a baby there. Sometimes someone forgot somebody. So there's a safek. Once there's a safek, you can already take it out. And then, furthermore, most buildings have gas lines and electrical panels and stuff like that are very dangerous, right? And he says, in fact, when the fire happens, instead of everybody running away, the whole neighborhood comes to watch, right? So it's going to happen, Haz Shalom, that if the gas blows up, the gas cylinders blow up, it could take out a whole city block or something like that. So you can't let it continue. So you have tzutz, according to Rabbi Melamed, to take out the fire. Number one, maybe you didn't get to everybody, and there's someone still there, some old person, some young person that didn't get out, right? Or you have also the issue of the danger of the canisters, the gas canisters, or whatever else is there. That's Rabbi Melamed says in the Pnei Halach. Yes, Malkiel.
Maybe there are holy books there to fill in, possibly,
So we did mention last week. Very good, very good. So when we said about Kitvei Kodesh, so Kitvei Kodesh, you can tell the guy, right? So our situation was, can you take out the fire when there's Jewish firemen? So if it's Safek Nefashot, then yes, you can tell the Jewish firemen to take it out. Here in America, where most of the firemen are, in New York at least, I think that most of them are Italian or Irish, okay? So they are not Jewish. And we say for Kitvei HaKodesh, you can tell them to directly take out the fire, right? Rami, we said for Kitvei HaKodesh, you could tell the guy directly to take out the fire. And we said last week that every Jewish house has what? Has a mezuzah. And mezuzah is Kitvei HaKodesh, for sure. So you can tell the guy to take out the fire in the house directly. He called the telephone, right? Kuach Nefesh for sure. If it's just Kitvei Kodesh, I don't know if they would allow you to pick up the phone for that, but you can definitely tell a guy to call the fire department to take out the thing.
Why would the mission say every house, every Jewish house is a mission?
You went back to that one, yeah. Okay. All right. Fine. Very good, Malkiel. Shkoyach. Okay, Yalkut Yosef says the same thing, that you have to pay attention to the wind, gas canisters, young children, the elderly. You don't know if someone called the fire department in such a case, you call. Don't say someone else called. Remember, if Kuach Nefesh, the Safek, someone might get hurt, you call. No matter if 10 people called. You'll be blessed for doing that. Let's take a look. What do you consider nowadays? You say nowadays the fires are considered Kuach Nefesh. How do you define that more? So Rabbi Neustadt, in his Sefer dealing with a fire emergency on Shabbat, he writes towards the end over here, any fire which potentially can get out of control and cannot be easily and quickly contained, that's already considered a fire. That's a Pekuach Nefesh, Safek Nefashot fire. One that can get out of control quickly. So most, if you have the candle area and something goes on the candle area, if you line the bottom correctly, right, and you put silver foil or you have a silver tray, one of those things that can hold the fire in place, then you have nothing to worry about. It'll stop right there. But if it's jumped to the curtain, right, and it's going to jump here and jump there, that's already a Pekuach Nefesh situation that a person would call a fire department. So like the Ramah said, I call it Inyan. You have to look, where's the fire? If the fire is in the sink and it's going to die out there, paper went on fire or something, it's going to die out, it's contained, you don't call the fire department. Anything that's not contained and can grow into a chaos, right away, you would call the fire department. And today, especially like David said, that today our houses are closer. Everything can catch fire faster. There's gas, there's electric, and these things can burst, blast, and this and all that. Person has to take that all into account. Okay, I will tell you, that is the Hazara from last week. Now we're going to get into our new topic. And this is the topic of intruders. Okay, no one should ever have to have this. But let's say the Gemara and the Mishnah in Masechet Shabbat on Daf Ayin Beit tells us as follows: Haba b'machteret nidon al shem sofo. If a guy is tunneling in to a person's house, you can kill him because of the ultimate end. What does this mean? Amar Rava, why is it that you're allowed to kill a guy who's trying to break into your house? He's digging in. One. Hazakah and adam that's more. There's a hazakah that a person does not hold himself back from defending his property. Most people, if you try to take their property, they're going to stop you, right? Now this guy breaking in, he knows this. So he said unto himself, if I go or break into the house, and the owner of the house is going to stop me, right? And if he confronts me, then I'll have no choice but to kill him. So the guy breaking in knows the guy in the house might stop me. And if he stops me, I'm still going to steal. I'm going to kill him and take it and go, right? And the Torah says, if he comes to kill you, get up and kill him first. So therefore, right, the Gemara says, if a guy is breaking into your house, you can kill him first. All right? Says the Rambam, same story in source 21. The guy's only coming to steal. Why are you allowed to kill him? Because any balabite will stand up. And what's going to be? This guy's coming in, is already planned that if he needs to, he'll kill him. Therefore, if he's going to kill you, you get up and you kill him first. And the Rambam says, "Lefikach yihareg ben sheya gadol, ben sheya katan, ben zachar, ben nekeva." Doesn't make a difference who is breaking in. It's a young kid, if it's an adult, if it's a male, it's a female. Once they're breaking in, they already have the intention to kill. Kill them first. No, but it'll be the same thing. Okay, doesn't matter the race, doesn't matter the creed, the color, or what other orientation. Right away, if they're breaking in, you have to assume that they're going to kill you. Right. Okay. Right. Okay, so let's take a look. We're going to see the halacha. Shminat Shabbat Gilchata says, if a burglar breaks into an apartment, there's a concern that he'll attack those who are present. The owner or the neighbor or anyone else is permitted to telephone the police. Nefesh situation. Call the police. Get whoever needs to be involved. Right? This is true, says the Shminat Shabbat Gilchata. Even he's breaking into another empty apartment. Why? Because a lot of time, these burglars, they don't just stop at one apartment. They do what's called like string robberies, right? They do one and then the next and the next and the next and the next. You see breaking into an apartment that's empty, still call the police because you don't know he's going to go into the next apartment now. He hasn't yet left the scene. That's a very important differentiation in halakha on Shabbat with these thieves. If they're still on premises or they might still be around, that they might cause someone else harm, you're still allowed to call the cops. But if you know they ran off and they're no longer here, you can't call the cops. They have to present a actual danger. If they're no longer a danger because they're not here anymore, then you can't call the cops. What? Porch pirates that steal packages. Did they ever kill anybody? And we have any? I don't think they're right. And breaking into the house is the issue. Stealing from the outside, that's again a crime of opportunity. That's opportunists. They see a package, they take it. They're not going to be the ones to break into your house. Those are like those guys who walk around here to they check. We have in the neighborhood. I don't know if you have this in Queens also, but we have guys who walk around the neighborhood late at night and they check every car to see if you locked it. If you didn't lock it, they empty it out. Right. So those are opportunists. They have cars open, they go in, but they won't. If your car's locked, they're not breaking in. They're not going to hit you. They're not violent to that degree. So you won't be able to cop them. Okay. This is someone who's breaking in. We have to assume he made the cheshbon and breaking in. If the guy's there, I'm going to come to kill him. Okay, Shemirat Shabbat Kata brings another case. You should never know this, lo aleinu, and not anybody that we know. But sometimes they have domestic violence. Husband and wife is fighting, or brothers are fighting, father and son, and they fight, and they can get violent. They can hurt somebody. Shalom, kill somebody even. So you see domestic violence going on, you call the cops. You call the cops even Shabbat, even Yom Kippur, right? It's domestic violence. It can be very, very dangerous. Someone can lose their life there. No one ever should see it. No one ever should notice. But the said that is the halakha. That is the halakha for domestic violence as well. No, you're trying to save the guy's life. You got to stop them from killing someone, from getting hurt, right? He's saying that sometimes domestic violence could lead to that. We see everything in the hospital, unfortunately. But yeah, they stab him. The guy doesn't. When you're wild and this that, you maybe not applying to kill him, but you might stab him in a place that can eventually cause his death. So you don't want them to get to there. So you call the cops. Mekuach nefesh. Okay, in any other situation that might be mekuach nefesh. Menuchat ahava, or Rav Moshe Levi, he brings down. What about on Shabbat? I see. This is very negeya, especially in Eretz Yisrael, but anywhere nowadays. I see a suspicious bag. I've never seen it before. It's not supposed to be here. Someone might have put a bomb in there. Or I see suspicious people. They're not from the neighborhood. And they seem to be up to trouble, up to no good. What do you do then? Says Rav Moshe Levi, obviously you're going to call the cops. You're allowed to call. It's a safek pekuach nefesh. It might be a bomb in there. It might be these people are terrorists or whatever they are, right? So you're allowed to call the cops in that situation as well. Again, anytime safek, you have a doubt, a real doubt that this is going to be a problem, you're allowed to call for help. So he writes here, someone sees in Shabbat, suspicious people, and is concerned that they're a terrorist. It's permitted for him to alert the police. The same applies if one finds a suspicious item, right? It might explode. It's permitted to alert the police immediately. You don't want to leave it around. You have to call for help. Anything that is a safek, nefashot, safek pekuach nefesh, a person will allow to call. Let me just see. It says over here. You have a valid suspicion. You have a valid suspicion. You have to have a safek. There's no safek. You say, no, this is just the kid just left his school bag here, and you have no suspicions. Then no, you're not going to call. But if you have a valid suspicion, yes. He writes over here. And he says even more. And he writes, interestingly, Al-Quds Yosef says as follows. Let's say you found the bomb. Okay? This bomb won't go off unless someone walks on it, like a mine or something like that, right? So technically, the guy can stand there on Shabbat and say, don't walk here, don't walk here, don't walk here, don't walk here. Does he need to do that? Or can he call the cops?
It's still pekuach nefesh. He doesn't know how it works.
Right? He's there. He's going to be talking like, don't walk here, don't walk here. The whole time he walk around the valley, make sure nobody comes in.
He's not 100% in control, at the end of the day. Something might happen,
Very
Maybe
good.
he needs the bathroom or something,
So he writes over here, he says two things. He says, number one, there's no rule in the Torah that you have to spend the whole day standing and warning people there. There's no rule of that. I have to stand and warn everybody not to go there. Second, he says, unfortunately, what we've learned from our bitter experience is that when they plant one bomb, they usually plant more than one bomb. So just because you found one doesn't mean that's the only one. There's a safek that there might be more. So even though you think you can stop this one, you can tell about how you know there's not another one. You have to call and alert the cops so they can take care and assess the situation and take care of it as necessary. So you cannot assume there's only one. That's what he wants to say. And again, you have no hayuf to stand there all day. You have to call and alert the authorities so they can take care of the situation. Okay. The Pinine Halacha wants to say something interesting over here, Rabotai. We don't really pasuk in this way, but he wants to say as follows. He wants to say that, all right, there is a halacha as follows. If the guy is breaking in, not to an apartment, okay, that's empty in an apartment building, there's other people nearby, but he's breaking into a vacant house. Nobody else is there. It's been empty. It's an abandoned house. Nobody's there. He's breaking into it. Or he's breaking into a storefront on Shabbat or a bank. And it's closed and there's nobody there. Can you call the cops in that situation? No, right? That's correct. That's the halakha. That's the way Akucho said brings it. No, you can't call because there's no pekuach nefesh there. No one's getting hurt. There's no loss of life going to happen. That's a fake no. But Rabbi Malamed in the Halacha wants to say, you're right. At this moment, there is no pekuach nefesh. But if you don't call the cops right away, what happens is these thieves are going to think they got away with it. And then what happens is it's going to do another one. And it's going to ruin the quality of life, which will eventually lead to potential loss of life. So Rabbi Melamed wants to say, because it's going to lead to potential loss of life, you can call the cops. Nobody says no. Nobody says no. It's only if the actual, right now, at the moment, there is a chance of loss of life, right? The guy's breaking into an empty apartment. That is a chance of loss of life because he's doing this apartment. He might go into the next apartment. He's in an apartment building. But if he's in an empty house or he's in a bank or something like that where it's not connected and you don't think he's going to go somewhere else, then you can't call the cops. You could shout. You can make a ruckus, right, to scare the guy and stuff like that. But to call the cops, you would not be allowed to do. Rabbi Moshe Heinemann from Baltimore in the Star K, they give a guide over here for Americans, okay, so in the U.S. So in Israel, things are more complicated because the cops are Jews, okay, and everybody there is Jewish. So it leads to more Chilul Shabbat. Here in America, the majority of cops are not Jewish, okay? So how does it play out? Let's take a look on page 78. We have Rabbi Moshe Heinemann, a guide to calling police on Shabbat and Yom Tov. Okay, before or during a crime, if one observes a situation, a potential crime, where there's even just a possibility that someone can be harmed, okay, one should call the police. If one sees someone being robbed or mugged or something like that, that's the potential for being harmed, potential for pekuach nefesh, therefore call the cops. If one is certain, page 79, that no one will be harmed, but it's likely that a monetary loss will occur, one should ask a non-Jew to call the police, okay? You see someone, if one sees an individual looking into cars in a suspicious manner, okay, so it's going to be theft of property, can't call the cops on Shabbat, but you can tell a guy, someone's breaking in, I think we should call the cops, okay? That would be okay. If it could result in a potential harm, one should call the police. If someone is attempting to break into a home that may be occupied, all right? So it's a potential to come pekuach nefesh, so therefore you can call the cops. If the crime already occurred and you have information, one should ask a non-Jew to call the police. This way you can get the license plate number, whatever else, to the cops. If a crime recently occurred, there's no reason to believe that the police are called. The perpetrator might be prevented from committing another crime. One should ask a non-Jew to call the police if someone's house has recently been burglarized. Again, you cannot call them yourself. If they already left and they're out of the area, then one may not even ask a guy to call the police. Okay? But you can tell the non-Jewish neighbor, and if you can tell him what happened, but you can't tell him to call the cops. And if he calls, it's his opinion, and he calls. So after the crime, if they're still around, you think they're still around, you can tell the guy to call the cops because it's still a chance. But if they're already gone for sure, then you can't tell the guy to call the cops. If the guy calls on his own after you tell him what happened, that would be okay. Okay? That is on those thieves and intruders. Now we come to our next new topic.
Question.
Yes, Malkiel.
So based on the Gemara and the Rambam, it said over there. So in New York City, if somebody smashed into the house a person has a gun or something, they're allowed to kill him. In New
According to
York,
the Rambam, according to Halakha, yeah.
they
Guy's
went
coming
into the
into-
house. They have an arm. They don't know if they're gonna be killed. They were allowed to kill him. Halakha.
Yeah.
In New
Halakha,
York.
yeah. The halakha,
Even though
yes.
they might go to jail because of it or something, they were
The
possibility.
halakha, yes. American law, New York State law, I'm not sure what you can do. But halakha, yes. Halakha, if someone's coming and has a potential to kill you, you kill him first.
Not wound. To
Kill him.
No, that's the New York State.
On New York State, you have to what?
Kill him in your state, not make sure he doesn't come out from your house.
If he comes,
Wounded.
if he comes out of your house wounded, you can get sued.
Yeah, that
For wounding
make
him.
sure to kill him in your house.
Either shoot it and get it done, or don't do it at all, right? All right. So Rami asked, what about the shomrim? So what does shomrim do? Okay, so what do? So tell me what would be the issues with the shomrim. Okay, so right, they're saying it's pikuach nefesh. They're holding that to the pikuach nefesh situation. Same with the Hatzalah walks around with walkie talkies.
The thing is, the goyim know that on Shabbat they could get away with that with everything. And they could do everything on Shabbat. And then
Right. I mean, I know the shomrim hires goyim also, and they have goyim driving the cars, and they have goyim or doing all these different things. So they have the abanim that they deal with, and they know what to do. But they walk around. The same question we had about guns, right? Some members in the community think they need to walk around with guns on Shabbat, right? We talked about that as well. If you really think it's a pikuach nefesh and you really need to have a gun, then then you have what to be relying on. But in communities like ours, we said perhaps you have no real. It's you have to look at hakol lefi ha'inyan. You have to look at the inyan. You have to look at the time, the day, where we are, what we're doing.
the gun issue, the most it's what? It's the carrying with the room.
And yeah, so it might be. You have to look how you look at the gun itself. Is it a klitsch lachlis or mashal heter? Right. We saw that. Right. So it's the same idea. Kol lefi ha'inyan. You have to look at what the time is, what the place is, where we're holding, what's going on. And they asked the Rabbanim how to do it. What do you mean? It's a thing now. It's a jewelry. It's an accessory. It's an accessory. Okay. Now, enemy attacks. Okay. So Masechet Eruvin. Masechet Eruvin. We have here. We should never know about this, but unfortunately, Jewish history is blood-stained and blood-soaked. And as such, we've had such experiences. And the Gemara says as follows: Amar Yehuda Amarav, Nochrim shitzaru al ayarot Israel. Goyim besiege a Jewish city on Shabbat. So they're coming and they're besieging, they're circling, they're laying siege. Laying siege is when you surround the city, you don't want anything coming around. All right, they're laying siege. That's what they're doing. So it says the Gemara, Shabbat. You cannot be mechalel Shabbat for this. The goyim are laying siege on the city. That's it. You got to let them do it. You cannot do anything about this. When did we say you cannot do anything about this? You cannot be mechalel Shabbat for this. That's if you know they're coming for your money. They're not going to kill anybody. They're not here to shed blood. They're here for money. Okay? So then you cannot be mechalel Shabbat. Aval ba'u al iskei nefashot. But if they come for blood, right? They want to kill. They want to make chaos. Yotzi'in alehen bechle zenan umechalin alehen Shabbat. Go out with your war instruments and you mechalel Shabbat. Right? They're coming for blood. Yep, exactly. It was Simchat Torah, correct. Uve'ir. Now next. Uve'ir hasimucha lisapar. If you have a city, a border city, okay, it's on the border of Eretz Yisrael, or in a Jewish community, any Jewish community border. So this is like the border. And I feel low about even if they don't come for blood, right? They're just coming from Amon. They're coming for cheap stuff, straw and stubble, right? Yotzi'in alein b'chle zeinad. Or mechalin alein Shabbat. You go out with your war instruments and you mechal Shabbat. Because on a border city, it's very dangerous. Why? The border city is the security. If the border city is run through, right, then everything gets run through, right? If you, Lamashal, I mean, we know serious situations. But Lamashla, if you ever play the board games Risk, right, and you own these different continents, different lands, and if someone makes an intrusion into one place, they can now come all over and take over the whole territory. So once you have the border taken over, you can lose the whole thing. Therefore, even if they're coming just for cheap material, you can Michal Shabbat and go out and fight them. Amar Yosef, Bar Manyumi, Amar Nachman, Ubavel, and in Bavel, Ke'er Hasemucha L'Safar Damya. Bavel is considered like a city that's on the border. Okay, so if the Goyim are coming against the Jews in Bavel, right away you can come out. The Targuma, and some explain Babylon to be Nahar Da'ah, the city of Nahar Da'ah, which is a Jewish center. So if a Jewish center in Galut, a Jewish center gets attacked, right, even if they're coming just for money, but that can affect all the Jewish communities, right? You have one protest in a Jewish community, all the Jewish communities then feel it. You saw this all during the past 2 years, right? Once they start with one, they go to the next, they go to the next. They were in Teaneck, they were here, they were there, they were making a lot of issues for Jews everywhere. Okay, they had in Borough Park and everywhere. They didn't care who you were. You stop me, you're not. They don't care. They coming after you, so it could ruin the quality of life. So here, once they come to any Jewish community outside of Israel, it could be considered that they're coming to a border city. You can come out and protect. Now, that is the Gemara. The Shulchan Aruch says the same thing. Take a look at source 27. Goyim who besiege a town, if they come because of money, right? Shabbat. Says the Shulchan Aruch, I don't know why they came. They showed up. They didn't send a telegram and tell me why they're coming. They showed up and they started making a siege. And I'm not sure if they're coming just for Mammon or they're also coming for Nefashot, right? So then it's Safek, right? Once it's Safek, Shabbat, you go out with your war instruments. And if it's a city on the border, even if they come only for money, you can come out because you don't want them to get through. And says the Ramah even adds on, even if they did not yet come, we see on satellite imaging that they're on their way. Okay? And we don't know why they're coming. Go out, meet them first. No, don't wait for them to come to the border. Go out and already take care of them, even on Shabbat, says the Ramah. Okay? Now, what's this reason? Why, when they come from Mammon, we don't stop them? It says Mishaburav, the Vishvil Hefsed Mammon Lo Hutar Isur Shabbat. Because just for money, we're not going to allow you to do an Isur Shabbat. Money, you're going to have to let it go. You're serving Hashem with all your money. Let it burn, let it get stolen, let it taken away. You should never use this advice, but Baruch Hashem, I never had to use this advice. But it's advice I got from my father when I was a young boy. He said, if any time, because I was traveling on train and bus. So my father said, if anybody comes over and takes your stuff, don't fight them. Let them take your stuff. Your life is more important than your headphones and your AirPods and your iPhone, whatever it is. Let it go. That's all replaceable. Your life is different. So if they come and take something, don't fight them. Right? Similarly, Hefsed Mammon, you don't have a permission to be to go against Shabbat in that case. But if they're coming, Stam, Safek Nefashot, Slahakel. Okay? Fine. The Mishnah Berurah explains, what do you mean they come? They're not here yet. Even if you hear rumors that they're coming, right? You wear your armor, you go out, and you do what needs to do as it's pekuach nefesh. Okay? This applies especially today in Torah Medina. He wants to say today in Eretz Yisrael, we know this, okay? In Eretz Yisrael, now they say even more. Halacha wants to say every city in Eretz Yisrael is considered a border city. They don't need to be actually on a border. If the terrorists can infiltrate any city, they can come out to anywhere from there. So everything is considered a border city. So if they're there, whether they come from Mammon, whether they come from not, right away you have to take them out. He wants to bring from Rabbi Gorin also, who says that if you don't take care of the goyim as soon as they come, right, all what you're going to do, it's like the broken window, the cracked window theory, right? You know the cracked window theory? The police theory, that if you let them crack one window, they're going to crack another, and the whole community life is going to go down, and everything's going to get broken. So they want to say the same thing. If you let one come, and you have to take care of them right away. Right? Nowadays, the entire country of Israel has the status of a border town with respect to preventing terror attacks. Therefore, throughout Israel, it's a mitzvah to perform ongoing security operations on Shabbat to protect life and property. So it's a mitzvah to protect Eretz Yisrael. Every Shabbat, you have there the reason, Safek Nefashot, if you don't protect it, it could be Haz Shalom, people can die. Therefore, they have permission for police activity, for soldier activity, army activity, whatever they have. There's a heterim because you need it. It's Pikuach Nefesh. Obviously, in all these cases, Yakut Yosef brings down that they should have Rabbanim involved of what needs to happen and what can be done with the Shinui and what can be done later and the like. Everything has to be done accordingly. Okay? Shulchan Aruch writes, some say, Yesh Mishoma, Shebazman Hazeh, Afilo Bao, Al Iskei Mamon, Mechalalin. Right? So, because there are Jews who might not let them take their money, and they'll come to kill them. They have it, Iskei Nefashot. The Shulchan Aruch wants to say, there are those who say, any Mamon issue can always turn in to a Nefashot, because someone might take up for his property. What? Shulchan Aruch, he brings the Yesh Mishoma, Shebazman Hazeh, Afilo Bao, Al Iskei Mamon, Mechalalin, Shim Lo Yinichu Yisrael, to take their stuff, Yeragenu, have it, Iskei Nefashot. So there is reason to believe that any mammon might lead to nefashot, especially in Eretz Yisrael. Person has to be very careful not to give the terrorists or any troublemakers any foothold on what's going on there. Okay. Again, the Darchei Moshe says, Hakol lefi the inyan, what's going on? You have to take a look, what's happening, and see what's going on over here. Mishnah Berurah says similarly, it only applies if enemies came against many Jews, as one should certainly be concerned that one Jew will stand up to them and will not give them his property, and they will kill him, right? So therefore, you're allowed to come out, even if they're coming just for property, when they're coming for a lot of people. But when they come against one individual, and you see they're not killing him, they're just going for his property, then you have no right to, he's not dangerous, there is no Pikuach Nefesh. Again, you have to look at what's going on, assess it properly. The guy broke into the guy's house, and you see he has all the people there in the house, and he's just walking around them. He's not touching them, right? Then you don't have a right to do anything to him, right? In that sense. Yeah. Everything is the you have to look what's actually happening in the situation. But if you have any safek that it can lead to a problem, to someone getting harmed, then right away you call the cops. Anytime it's safek nefashot, you call the authorities and get them involved.
Someone walkie-talkie, we said Safek Pikuach Nefesh. But if you want to say Safek Pikuach Nefesh, can I drive the car also?
If there is an active safek,
What
yeah.
do you know as today?
If there's an active
You would be
safek,
the rabbi, you would say yes.
if there's an active safek, meaning that they're told that someone might be in danger.
You're allowing them to have walkie-talkies.
So they're
active or not?
So the walkie-talkie. See, I have to ask them why they allowed the walkie-talkie.
What I want to say,
It's the kli shemelachtai. Maybe it's a kli shemelachtai leheter, right? And it's they're carrying it around. I'm not sure exactly how they look at the inyan, but yes, if they were told that there's a safek there, you're allowed to drive there. Safek nefashot there, you can drive there for sure. As long as you are under the assumption there's a safek nefashot, you can drive. You can do anything you do b'chal Shabbat. As long as you're under the assumption safek nefashot. How they walk around the walkie-talkie is a good question. Let's look into it. It probably looks like a kli shemelachtai leheter or something like that they will allow them to walk around with it.
I'm not doubting it. I'm
right.
It. But if you accept it here, accept it there too. By allowing to patrol. Why do we have to hire a guy?
So it's only when there's safek. If there's no safek, you can't do it. Unless you're saying there's always a problem, so then there's always
allowing me, right?
No, not necessarily. You might be allowed to wear walkie-talkie, not because it's safek, but because it won't be an issue with muksa. You can say perhaps it's not an issue of muksa. And maybe they do say it's a pikuach nefesh. I don't know. I have to look into it. It's a very good question on how they look at it. Okay. Fine. Let's get into the last topic for today. We're time before our week. We have 2 minutes. So we make this really quick. Trapped children. All right. The Gemara Masechet Yoma tells us if there's a trapped child, all right, and the door is locked before the child, you're allowed to break the door. Even if you break the door in a way that you can use the wood afterwards, and you want to use the wood afterwards. you can still break it. Because a trapped child is a case of pekuach nefesh. Okay, the child is scared. When a child is scared, they can do crazy things. It can be a psychological issue. It can be a physical issue, and therefore, a person can break down the door and to get the child out. Shmiyat Shabbat Kilchata in source 38 tells us that if a child goes missing and there is cause for concern, or the child is found wandering and scared, and the only way to calm him down is by asking the police to search for his family, you're allowed to call the police by telephone and tell them that you found this kid, you don't know who he is, and that's the way to calm him down. So if you're missing a child or you found the child, you can call the cops. And if the child is locked or something like that, also you can Chalal Shabbat to get him out. Even, and he writes over here in the B'Yitzchak Yikareh, he writes over here, even a situation where there is no concern of cars or terrorists or the like, or the child's going to get hurt, but once the child is locked, he's in a dangerous situation, you're allowed to break open the door, and you're allowed to call the cops, whatever needs to be done to get the child out of that. What's the age of the child? What's the age of the child? So the Akut Yosef brings down the halacha as follows: the child got locked. He's an older child. You try to talk to him, tell him, listen, nothing to be worried about. It's a few more hours per Shabbat. We'll get it open, and if he can calm down, good. If he's not coming down, you break it down. All right. They want to say the age is 6, but it's not just 6. It depends really on the child. What the child is. Can he control himself? Can he not control himself? And depending on the situation and where you are and how you assess the situation, how the kid is, you could probably be Mechal Shabbat, even for an older child who cannot control himself, and being locked would be a dangerous situation for him. Okay, I will tell you, this is where we're up to today. That Hashem. Next time we will continue. We have Minyan on the head. Okay, fine. We'll take any questions. Okay.